I guess then I don't understand the proper attitude toward resistance. I remember your upstream-downstream analogy, and that resistance were like rocks in the stream, and you could tell that they were sort of blocking the flow of the water because how the water splashed off of them. And my attitude was remove all the rocks as much as possible.
But our attitude is, if you focus on the stream, it will pull you through the rocks. In other words, it will carry you above them. We've offered a lot of analogies about resistance. We know if you're in a car going 100 miles an hour and you hit a tree, it's more problematic than if you're going 5 miles an hour and hit a tree. But slowing the car down usually isn't the option. It's releasing the resistance that is the option. But this is the way you release resistance. You release resistance by training your thoughts into less resistance. And we want you to feel with us that the fastest way to train your thoughts into less resistance is to deactivate the thought. But to deactivate the thought, you have to withdraw your attention from it. In other words, we have never seen anyone solve a problem by focusing on the problem. As long as the problem is what's active in their vibration, the problem just gets bigger and bigger until finally it gets so big that they have a sort of breakdown where they have to let go of it, and then things get better for a while. Do you know the physical human subject that is responsible for the most releasing of wads of resistance is falling in love? Now, it's interesting because one might say, well, how could somebody fall in love when they've got wads of resistance? Well, they've got wads of resistance relative to some things, maybe not relative to that. But when they find something that feels good to them and they give their undivided attention, do you remember falling in love? Do you remember when it's all you wanted to think about? How can I carve out time to be with this person, and how long can I be there? All I want, it's all I want, it's all I want. I just want to. And when I'm not with that person, I want to think about that person. And when I'm with that person, I want to think about that person. And when I'm not with that person, I just want to think about that person. Please don't make me think about anything else. I don't want to think about anything else. This is the most life-giving, good-feeling thought I've ever had. That's what that feeling of being in love is, you see. So by focusing on that, you're not focused on that. In other words, that is the fastest way into the vortex that we've ever seen. But when people don't know what they're doing, they don't know why. They don't know that they found a positive object of attention and that they are giving their undivided attention to that positive attention, and that they are letting this love affair call their vibration upward. And you know people, you've seen them fall in love. Their life gets better and better and better and better and better on all fronts, not just the being in love front. Don't you know that? Don't you remember it yourself? Don't you still wish that you could go back and be in love again? You can. So what were the present properties? What made that easy? What made it easy? Well, it was fresh and new. You didn't know much about the person. You hadn't had that tell me about yourself conversation where everything starts going south. You were still optimistic. You were still letting them be the fantasy that you'd conjured. You were still tuned in to who you are and what you are and what you really want and what you really wanted. In other words, you hadn't begun facing reality about it. You were flying high. And that's what we're wanting you to get the sense of. That's what this all is about, you see. If we could just convince you that everything that you want is vibrationally there, and that all you've got to do is stop doing that thing you do that's keeping you from it. So how do you stop doing that thing? You do something else. And we've offered you a cajillion something else's to do. Find a little better feeling thought, meditate. Lobotomies, we don't really recommend, but you would leave a lot behind with that.
Then my other question then, I greatly appreciated the ability to sort of locate emotion in the stair-step kind of method that you've given. If it's not despair, and even anger is better and as it moves up.
Yes.
The topmost state seems to be one of joy and well-being, etc. Is there other steps that would help fine-tune moving closer to the vortex?
Well, what happens is The steps that fine-tune moving to the vortex, it's one step that you can do in many different ways. But the step is release resistance. So do it by quieting the mind, do it by making lists of positive aspects. In other words, reach for the best feeling thought you can find. The releasing resistance is the only step. It's the only step. It's the only step, because, and when you understand that, then you understand what really matters, which is the higher vibration will always tune you upward. In other words, you see, it comes from the understanding that we so much want to relay here is that because you are the one who has put your desire into your vortex, then the larger part of you is calling you into alignment with that. So that is the energy, that's the power of the universe. It's calling you. And that's why we want to say you don't need to apply effort. You just need to be in a place that you're not offering a vibration of opposition. Right. So we had a very lengthy discussion on this recent Panama Canal cruise, where many of the people who are listening to this Getting Into the Vortex guided meditation recording are discovering a very consistent feeling of ease. Mm-hmm. Some of them use the word ease and flow. Some of them use the word relaxed. And some of them were a little concerned because they don't feel an edginess to themselves that they are accustomed to feeling. Okay. And many people acquaint that edginess with the getting things done, with the making things happen. Right. And so they were describing themselves as being a little bit what felt unfocused or less deliberate. They were wondering if we were just training everybody to be really lazy. Right. And we are wanting to explain that at first, releasing of resistance will feel that way to you, because you'll feel a sort of calm, your edginess disappears. But we also want everyone to understand that in that relaxed state of well-being, because their vortex in every case is spinning and is spinning fast, in that relaxed state, the momentum of the vortex will get them moving, and they will begin to, in time, feel some passion. Now, if you want to focus inside the vortex, that's precisely what we were talking about with this sort of affirmation. Okay. We said to a friend from the affirmation cards, so to speak, we said to a friend who was in a relaxed state, has been listening to the meditation CD for a few months now, we said to him, you can start out with thoughts of how relaxed you feel, the well-being that you're feeling. And as you begin to focus just a little bit, you'll begin to use words such as, I feel happy, I feel glad to be alive, I feel fortunate in my world, I feel appreciation for my son, I feel appreciation for my mate, I feel love of this earth, I feel appreciation for humanity, I feel eager about what I'm up to, I feel eager about this life experience, I feel ready to accomplish wonderful things, I feel in love with life, I feel a zest, I'm looking forward to the riverboat ride on the Amazon this afternoon. I really like going through the Panama Canal locks. In other words, from that place of well-being, as you start focusing, you'll find yourself focusing in appreciation. Jerry and Esther discovered in the middle of a meditation one day, it happened to both of them on the same day, that while they had always thought of meditation as the process of quieting mind, certainly is the way we've always taught it, because we know that when you quiet your mind, your vibration will naturally raise. Because quieting the mind stops resistance, and when resistance is stopped, vibration raises. It's just a law of physics. So they discovered, both of them on the same day, that their minds were wandering inside meditation. They came out of meditation and Jerry said, were you thinking? And Esther said, was I ever? Were you? And Jerry said, yes. And both of them were delighted to convey to each other that they were thinking about exciting, exhilarating things. In other words, we're not wanting you to get into the vortex where you stop being a creator. We want you to get into the vortex where, in the absence of resistance, you can really begin to flow. You can really begin to think and plan and affirm and decide you see.
Okay.
Yes. Helpful?
Very. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed.